Madhulika Tyagi. Keep wondering what this picture is about. I will soon get to the topic. So, how many of you know that while Madhulika is a coach, she's a leadership team and life coach with 1300 plus hours of coaching with PCC credential, but she's also a medical doctor. So you can imagine the rigor she has, having studied something like medicine, and she chose public health to create impact because that's where her desire took her. And she works with clients through self discovery, acceptance, self love, and develops and helps them develop self awareness and motivation and clarity towards their goals. She has worn several hats. I think you know that's coming because she's talking about complexity. And she draws heavily on her experience, not just as a medical doctor, but she's also a lifelong learner, and dealt, she has in depth, she has studied and learned from pursuits of Vedanta, Gita, Vipassana, personal mastery programs of Landmark worldwide. If any one of you have done Landmark, you know how grueling it is, how involving it is. And I did the first level, and then I said too much for me. She listening is her superpower, and she values agency, equity, compassion, fairness, integrity, and authenticity. On the personal side, she loves to travel in the mountains, solo as well as with friends. She's a nature lover. She is a hands on parent, and she lives in Bangalore with her husband and daughter and with the adopted dog. So I think, Madhulika, you are the perfect person to bring to us the topic. I'm not surprised you chose a topic of being a complexity genius because you have so many I think you have various avatars. You've studied various fields and in depth, and you have various dimensions and multitude of talents. So we look forward for you to bring this to us under your topic of being a complexity genius. And we are all waiting to be enthralled by what you have to say. And simplify it for us, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Smriti. Thank you, SHEmantra platform, for this opportunity. I hope I can put out something useful and valuable. So, I'm going to straight away jump into picture me. 3:40 a.m. it is, and I'm feeling completely exhausted. And yet I find myself frantically typing onto my outdated, super slow computer, drafting my speech to share it with my mentor for this She Talks. Just 10 minutes ago, I have gotten off a buddy call, an agreement, a necessary agreement I had for my voluntary involvement in an intense 40 hours landmark training program happening in the US time zones. And again, in few hours, I have another mandatory call for the same training at 7:30 a.m. And slowly, my night would morph into the next day. At 10 a.m., I have a pre-committed call with a co-coach here in India, and she's on the call right now. After that, there is a mentor coaching session for a learner coach at noon, and then variety of coaching calls with client at 4 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. And yet again, my day slowly transforms into the night. Feels like an endless line of deliverables and commitments. And while I'm engaged in delivering all of these, I find I'm also juggling with the regular daily routine and chores at home. Cooking and cleaning, feeding my dog, walking the dog, feeding myself, attending to the calls from family members far away, taking the deliveries at home, and scheduling the next tasks for the week, preparing for this She Talk session, all of that. And while I'm doing all of this, I am taking distress calls from my friends who are seeking my support. On top of this, I'm having to grapple with my own emotion, my fatigue, my actual mental, physical fatigue resulting from day and night, constant, successive night work in various trainings and sessions that I've been doing. I am tired, I'm exhausted. That's how I am right now. And to add to more complexity, just 2 days back, as if this was not enough, just 2 days back, I attempted a team credentialing exam, which I failed. I failed by 5 marks. Failed by 5 marks, 0.2%, if you will, which means I will have to retake this exam, pay the fee again to the ICF. Oh, that's my feeling. But I think I did not give due time, effort, and attention to this exam. Why the rush? Why so much of multitasking? Why all this? So much packed. But all this wisdom is a hindsight to me right now. And as if just when I was waiting to recover from the failure I just had, I just got a news that I will have to travel to my parent-in-law's house, a different city where I'm currently stationed, to help my husband and my parent-in-laws to renovate their house. When I reach here, I find the house is not renovated, it is still underway. So there's no Wi-Fi, no laptop, nor my comfort space. And here I am, trying to deliver this speech to you in this She Talk session. So I am already feeling like a complexity genius. I'm already feeling, like a winner here. So whether you related to my personal rant right now or you switched off, disconnected with it, I am so sure that you have had your very own experiences of living the difficult, challenging, complex days when you have multiple appointments to show up to, trainings to deliver, materials to design, your marketing material to be designed and fine-tuned, and the days when you have registered yourself in an intensive training, and when you're just stepping out, the things become complex as your maid calls in sick, and the cab that you've booked to reach the training venue for an in-person training, that gets delayed, lost, or worse, it cancels on you. Have you had such days where everything feels just like whirlwind of chaos and complexity? Have you had such days where every minute feels like a test of endurance? Well, at times like this, I recall the second law of thermodynamics, which states disorder and chaos in any closed system invariably increases. To me, sometimes our lives just look like these closed systems. So what do we do? How do we navigate these complex and ambiguous times, challenging times? So here I am today going to share what works for me. I'm going to share some ways to navigate the complexity, and I'm going to nudge you to look into your own ways of managing your complex and challenging times. Now, the moment you and I became coaches, we embraced all these complexity as a part of our life and work, whether it is whether it is a whether it is a result of a pitch or a discovery call. It is the result of it is uncertain, whether it is an outcome of a client journey that client is taking with us, or a stated outcome of a single coaching session, or say our monthly regular income. So there is no regularity, there is no certainty in any of the things that we do on a daily basis. So I think you and I, the moment we became coaches, we embraced all of these ambiguities, uncertainties, and complexities. So I say, I assert you and I are already complexity geniuses here. And haven't we all, very recently, as a human race, just emerged from the shock of complex times of the global pandemic? And look how we are. We are advanced. We are stronger than ever as a humanity, as a race. So I believe very strongly that all of us here are complexity geniuses. Now, even though this term complexity genius sounds complex, believe me, it truly isn't. The AI tells me being complexity genius simply means being someone who can thrive in the middle of challenging times, ambiguity, and complexities. And aren't you somebody who's already doing that? Aren't we already doing that on a daily basis? So then what do I add today? What do I add to your platter today? So here I'm going to share simple 7 tricks that I use for myself, which help me navigate my challenging times. And like I said, I'm going to nudge you to think about what are your experiences telling you and what are your ways of winning. So here are the 7 things that I do. 1, I indulge in my favorite self talk, if you will. I say to myself, this is it. And this too shall pass. Second, I do a little grounding exercise for myself. And I say to myself, while I'm here now, while I'm saying this to myself, I am here now, I engage my attention on my senses, on my sense organs. And as you can see, the most prominent sense organ on my face is my nose. I begin focusing on my nose. I spend 20 seconds, I spend 20 seconds to focus on the breath passing through my nose, the temperature, the warmth in it. I focus attention then I focus my attention to my ears, listening to the closest sound. Often that is my heartbeat. Then I also try to listen to the sound of wind on my eardrums. I move on to focus on the sensations on my skin, how the air, how the wind is landing on my skin, and other bodily sensation. Then finally, I come back to focus on my eye, seeing the physical surroundings, resting my attention on the items around me. And I'm able to say, I'm here now. My step 3 is to become a researcher. I have been a researcher in my previous avatar. After public health, I became a researcher. So as a researcher, I look at the situation. I become objective, observant researcher. And I say, let's see what happened here. And what is this telling me? What is this trying to teach me here? I move on from telling, from asking. By this time, I am ready to do some action. I shift my focus, I shift my framework of looking from good, bad, right, wrong framework to a framework of workability. So I'm not asking now what went wrong, what wasn't good. Instead, I'm asking what wasn't workable, what did not work here, and what can I do differently? And this is a non judgmental question. I give myself some grace here in this question. By this time, I'm done talking, researching, observing, and telling myself. I'm ready for more action. So I move on to doing small known actions which bring comfort to me. Small actions like making myself a cup of tea and having it. Walking in the green spaces, walking on the grass, which centers me. Either texting or talking to a dear one. Not ranting my situation, but just connecting, exchanging pleasantries and well being. I also then sit down to write or voice record my reflection, my thoughts, feeling, emotions in the moment, and the actions done and the actions to be done. By this time, I am ready to move on to the fifth step. For me, the fifth step is being able to now say no. Say no and decline a few things which are coming my way. I decline them in this moment. I decline them today. I move on to doing the last step. And the last step for me is just as the law of thermodynamics indicated, opening up my closed system, which means I go beyond myself. I ask for help. I ask for support. I ask for support to come and delegate. I delegate some of the things which are cluttering my platter. By this time, invariably, through these small, simple steps, I find my ground back, my place back. I'm centered. And invariably, these simple steps have helped me within a time frame of 5 minutes to 2 hours to recover and be present and available once again to myself and to others. The failed test, it took 1 hour to recover. So as I just shared my simple tricks with you, I'm going to ask you to choose what works for you. I'm going to nudge you to look at your own life, your own complexity, the challenges. What are they teaching you? And before I close, the last thing that I want to say is that in the middle of complexity, the one thing which will allow us to regain and act better is to learn from the current challenge, learn from the challenge of the current situation, and be able to use it to grow and learn and act in similar such situations in the future. My invitation here to each one of you is, as I wrap today, I'm inviting you to look into your life, become present and available to yourself. Look at what your complexities, your challenges are teaching you. What are your methods of winning them? What have been your comfort tools? While you do that, I'm also going to open a question. What did you discover newly today? And what are you going to take from what I shared today? Thank you.
So happy.
How lovely. How beautiful, Madhulika. Thank you so much for definitely simplifying what is complexity that each one of us handles. And what you did so beautifully is make us all feel winners right from the start. Because as you talked, we realized that we all do handle all this all the time. And I just want to recount your steps that you talked, the way, the framework you gave us. Indulge in favorite self talk, grounding exercise, research and observe, actions, small actions, comfortable that give you comfort, saying no, declining, opening up your closed system, and then finally becoming centered. And since you asked, what did you experience? I have this favorite mantra which I say to myself when I am stuck is that one of my partners used to say, there's many ways to dice an animal. You can dice it like this, like this, like this, like this. And I get up from my seat and I then say this to myself, and some creative thought comes. And really, you made us feel that we probably do all this in trying to handle whatever we are facing, but we never thought that there was a stepwise approach that we could use as a design rather than just being spontaneous about it. So thank you so much. How did you feel?